everybody, in this video, we're going to be looking at the device viewer stack. So basically, you're going to add device viewer wherever you want on the page, and there's not many settings here. You can either have it opened on page load, you can remove it from pop-ups, which we'll talk about in a little bit. If it is not removed from pop-ups, you can actually display it as a solo pop-up, and we'll talk about that. And then you can allow this to be published online, or most of the time we're only using this for preview, so you're going to have this off. I do want to add, if you are sure that you're actually done testing your site, you actually remove the device viewer from the page, because even with publishing turned off, there is a small amount of JavaScript that can be published to your site. So if you're sure that you don't need it on a particular page, go ahead and remove that. Now, before we get started, I actually want to show you something important if you're going to be using Safari as your default browser. By default, pop-up windows are blocked inside Safari. In order for them to actually work inside Preview, you're going to want to go into your website tabs in your Safari preferences, go to pop-up windows, and after you preview, you should see 127.0.0.1 enabled or displayed. By default, it'll be block and notify. Just set that to allow. This will allow pop-up browsers to actually work inside Preview. So when you preview your Stacks page, this will then allow device viewer to actually open up the pop-up windows. So here we are in Preview. Now, by default, it will open on page load, but if you were to uncheck that, it would basically look like this on page load, okay? And then you can click on this little button and it will display. Now, what's kind of cool is whenever you start scrolling, it will auto hide on scroll. So when you're ready, go ahead and click on the select box and you can pick any number of devices. And let's go ahead and choose iPhone 10. And there we have our pop-up window. A pop-up window has come up with a window with the exact dimensions of that iPhone 10. Now, one thing you might notice is we chose an iPhone 10, but in this drop box, it shows iPhone 11 Pro. So in order to help you test on a particular device, we've added every single possible iPhone here. But as you probably are aware, many iPhones actually have the same exact resolution. So when you choose a resolution, actually the most recent iPhone with that resolution will be displayed within the device selector. Now, what you'll notice here is I'm currently in Safari, and if I go ahead and choose a different device, let's go ahead and choose an iPad 10. You'll notice that a new pop-up window has been opened. So this way you can actually test on multiple screens at once. So if you want to see how something displays on an iPhone versus an iPad, you can have them side by side. Another thing to notice is there's actually a rotate button within the device selector. And if I click on that, it will then open up another screen that has that particular same iPad, but rotated. Now, if you recall in the settings, we saw a setting called solo pop-up. And unfortunately, that feature does not work in Safari. And Safari will only open up new pop-ups for every single new one. Let's have a look inside Firefox and Chrome on how it behaves. So if you want to preview in Firefox, but yet your default browser is something else, go ahead and choose Option Command P, and this will open up Preview in Browser. Go ahead and select Firefox and say Preview. At this point, it shows you a preview, and we can choose which device we would like to preview from. Let's go ahead and choose any device here. And now we have our actual device. We can go ahead and close the main Firefox window. And what's cool here is I can now choose, and it'll use the same window. So I chose landscape. It just used the same exact window. I can go ahead and choose a new device. Let's go ahead and choose an iPad. As you see there, it actually just uses it and resizes the existing window. This functionality currently isn't available in Safari. We filed a bug report, so hopefully it will get resolved. And just a quick reminder also, if you're in a layout and you just scroll, the actual device selector will be hidden so that it doesn't interfere with you testing and viewing your layouts. So if you prefer the Safari behavior in all browsers, just go ahead and turn solo pop-up off. And lastly, let's show you what remove from pop-ups does. So here we are in Preview, and remember, I've turned on the remove from pop-ups. So let's go ahead and pick a device. And what you'll notice is in the pop-up windows that come, there is no device selector. So it's not possible to actually continue and modify it from here. Basically, if I wanted a new one, I'd have to close that, go to the next window, and then launch a new device. I personally prefer having it inside of the pop-up windows because then it kind of gives me an idea. I can see exactly which device I selected. If I scroll, it just kind of moves out of the way anyway, so I can still see and visualize my designs. So I do prefer it with it there, but I wanted to give you guys the option to actually remove it completely from the pop-up windows.